All right, let's pivot to the running back position. Who should we definitely be starting in our lineups this weekend?
Love David Montgomery. Had a very good game last week in a loss to the Green Bay Packers. Averaged over 8 yards a carry, and he saw 50% of the touches. So this backfield committee with Khalil Herbert, well, it didn't happen last week. He's got the Texans coming up next. They've allowed an average of more than 28 fantasy points per game, the running back, since last week 13, 2021. So start David Montgomery and start James Robinson. Yes, this hurts my heart. I was big on Travis Etienne. I think a lot of us were this season, but Robinson's the guy, right? I mean, it doesn't look like anybody who's come off of an Achilles tendon surgery, but he's looked great. He has scored over 35 combined fantasy points in his first 2 games. He's seeing over 35% of the Jaguars' backfield touches, and I like the matchup against the Chargers. So James Robinson is back in the RB2 flex conversation.
Congratulations to all of you who drafted James Robinson, because that's going to turn out to be an incredible value for like the 3rd year in a row. I guess eventually we're going to have to buy into James Robinson. And you're right, coming back from an Achilles injury, but you have a guy on your sit list that is also coming back from an Achilles injury, plus one of our boys.
Yeah, and let's start off with one of our boys. I'm actually putting Zeke as my sit of the week at running back. I'm hoping I reverse jinx him and he has a big game, because I think this is less to do with Zeke and more to do about just the offense and the offensive line. So far this season, I mean, he's really done nothing. He looked good in week 1, limited carries. Last week did not look great. Tony Pollard was the better back. And how about this? He has only seen 4% of his carries with an extra man in the box. So it's not even like defenses are trying to stop Zeke at this point. And then also keep this in mind. In his 4 career games against the Giants in New York or New Jersey, he's averaged fewer than 14 fantasy points per game, and those games were in his prime. So Zeke is a risk for me, and so is Cam Akers. I had him as a sit last week. He surprisingly started for the Rams, but didn't do much, right? I mean, Darrell Henderson actually was the better back from a fantasy perspective. Akers averaged 2.9 yards per rush. That's terrible. So this isn't even about the matchup either. It's just about the fact that I'm not sure if Akers is going to continue to be a guy that we can trust on a week-to-week basis, like we did maybe in the past. For right now, I still have Darrell Henderson ranked ahead of him. If I'm starting a Rams running back, it's Darrell Henderson, but this thing is becoming a very confusing mess quickly, Jen.